Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. You know what? I'm sitting here looking at my PS5 library and I just realized something kind of wild. While everyone's been going absolutely bonkers over Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarök, and Elden Ring, which, don't get me wrong, are absolutely phenomenal games, there's this entire universe of incredible PS5 titles that have just flown completely under the radar. So today, I'm bringing you 12 PS5 games that you've genuinely never seen before. These are hidden treasures that deserve so much more love than they're getting. And trust me, by the end of this video, your wish list is going to be absolutely screaming for mercy. If you end up adding even one of these to your library, do me a solid and drop a like on this video. And hey, subscribe if you want more deep dives into games that the mainstream media just isn't covering. Alright, let's jump in. Starting strong with the Pathless, a game about running that shouldn't be as magical as it is, but absolutely destroys every expectation. You play as a hunter who's arrived at a mystical island to dispel a dark curse, and your movement is all about momentum and flow. You don't just walk, you run, and as you sprint through these gorgeous landscapes, you aim at talismans scattered throughout the world to maintain your speed boost. When you're in the zone, perfectly hitting every talisman while gliding through ancient forests. It's like meditation in motion. It's one of those rare games where simply traversing the world is the reward itself. Your eagle companion is incredible, and I mean incredible. You can hug them for a speed boost. Yes, you literally hug your bird, and it's adorable. And they help you glide across vast distances. The bond between you and this eagle feels genuine and earned. I found myself talking to my TV like, "Good bird, we've got this, let's go." The island itself is breathtaking. Wide open spaces with no waypoints or minimap cluttering your screen. You're guided purely by exploration and instinct, which makes discovering secrets feel organic rather than checking boxes off a Ubisoft-style list. The sense of freedom is intoxicating. Boss battles are these intense, almost spiritual sequences where you have to purify corrupted spirits. They're legitimately nerve-wracking and require both skill and patience. But when you finally succeed and watch the world transform back to its natural beauty, the colors returning, the music swelling, it's absolutely breathtaking. The Pathless is relatively short. You can finish it in about 6 hours, but every single moment feels intentional. There's no filler, no bloat, just pure, focused design that respects your time while delivering an unforgettable experience. If you want a game that makes you feel at peace while also giving you those, yeah, fist pump moments, the Pathless is essential. Alright, buckle up because Maquette is going to absolutely bend your brain, and I mean that in the best way possible. This is a recursive puzzle game where you manipulate a world within a world within a world. Imagine a dome containing a miniature version of itself, which also contains a miniature version, and so on into infinity. Whatever you do in the small version affects the larger world, and vice versa. Place a tiny key in the center dome, and suddenly there's a massive key in the outer world you can use as a bridge. It's MC Escher meets Inception, and it's genius. The puzzles made me feel like an absolute genius when I solved them and a complete idiot when I got stuck. There's this beautiful aha moment when you finally understand how the recursion works, and then the game keeps adding layers, literally, that force you to think in new ways. I spent 20 minutes on one puzzle, tried the solution, and when it worked, I actually said, "I am a god" out loud to my empty apartment. But here's what elevates Maquette beyond just clever puzzles. It's also a love story. The entire game is narrated by a couple recounting their relationship from first meeting through all its ups and downs. Bryce Dallas Howard and Seth Gable voice the couple, and their performances are phenomenal. As you solve these reality-bending puzzles, you're simultaneously experiencing the joy, pain, and complexity of their relationship. The emotional narrative hit harder than I expected. By the end, I was genuinely moved. Maybe even a little teary-eyed, not that I'd admit that to anyone. The way the puzzle mechanics mirror the relationship's complexity is subtle and brilliant. Visually, Maquette is beautiful, a stylized world that shifts and changes as the relationship evolves. The soundtrack perfectly complements both the puzzle solving and the emotional beats. Fair warning, if you're not into puzzle games or narrative-driven experiences, Maquette might not grab you. But if you want something that challenges your brain and your heart, this is absolutely worth playing. Okay, hear me out on this one. Tchia is one of the most wholesome, joyful games I've played in years, and it flew completely under the radar. Set in a gorgeous archipelago inspired by New Caledonia, Tchia lets you play as a young girl searching for her kidnapped father. But here's where it gets wild. You can possess almost anything. Birds, fish, crabs, coconuts, lanterns, you name it. Want to scout ahead? Become a bird. Need to get through a tight space? Possess a crab. It sounds goofy, and it absolutely is, but it's also incredibly fun and opens up creative solutions to puzzles. The world is beautiful and vibrant with a fully explorable open world that encourages you to just exist in it. You can play a ukulele and jam out to original songs, go sailing between islands, climb mountains, or just vibe with the peaceful atmosphere. There's no fall damage, so exploration feels liberating rather than stressful. The story tackles some surprisingly heavy themes about colonialism and family, but it's wrapped in such a warm, optimistic package that it never feels preachy. The voice acting is entirely in the local language with subtitles, which adds so much authenticity and charm. If you're burned out on ultra-violent shooters and need something that'll make you smile, Tchia is like a warm hug in video game form. Alright, time to talk about Returnal, and this one is not for the faint of heart. Returnal is a roguelike third-person shooter that combines bullet hell intensity with psychological horror, and it's absolutely phenomenal. You play as Celine, an astronaut trapped in a time loop on a hostile alien planet, dying over and over while uncovering the dark secrets of this world and her own past. The DualSense implementation is chef's kiss. The adaptive triggers change resistance for different firing modes. The haptics make you feel every raindrop and footstep, and the 3D audio is so good it's practically a gameplay mechanic. I could hear enemies positioning themselves around me, which saved my life more times than I can count. Combat is fast, frantic, and incredibly satisfying. You're dodging hundreds of glowing projectiles while unloading weapons that feel powerful and unique. The game demands your full attention. One moment of hesitation and you're dead, starting to run over from scratch. But here's what makes Returnal special. The story. It's cryptic, told through environmental clues, audio logs, and these disturbing house sequences that gave me legitimate chills. The mystery kept me pushing forward, even when I died for the 20th time. I won't lie. Returnal is punishing. Some runs feel impossible, and RNG can be cruel. But when everything clicks, when you're in the zone, dodging through bullet patterns like Neo in The Matrix, when you finally beat that boss that's killed you 10 times, it's pure gaming euphoria. Ghost Song is a Metroidvania that nobody talks about, and that's a crime. Set on a desolate alien moon called Lorien, you play as a mysterious figure in a spacesuit exploring ancient ruins and uncovering the secrets of a dead civilization. The atmosphere is thick. Everything feels lonely, melancholic, and slightly unsettling. The pixel art is gorgeous, with detailed environments that tell stories without saying a word. The combat is challenging but fair, with a nice variety of weapons and abilities to unlock. You've got a blaster for ranged attacks and melee for close combat, plus you can overheat your gun for a powerful charged shot, but push it too far and you'll stun yourself. It's all about finding that balance. What really got me was the storytelling. NPCs are weird, tragic, and fascinating. There's this NPC named Gamoru who's just existing in the ruins, and his dialogue is both hilarious and deeply sad. The game doesn't spell everything out. You piece together the lore through exploration and conversation. The world design is excellent, with lots of interconnected areas that open up as you gain new abilities. Finding a shortcut back to an earlier area always felt rewarding, and discovering hidden rooms packed with lore was my jam. If you love the exploration and atmosphere of games like Hollow Knight but want something with a sci-fi twist, Ghost Song is absolutely worth your time. Neon White is crack. I'm not even kidding. This game hijacked my brain for a solid week. It's a lightning-fast first-person platformer where you play as assassins competing for a spot in heaven by killing demons. Levels last like 10 seconds if you nail them perfectly, and the whole game is about optimizing routes, shaving off milliseconds, and climbing leaderboards. You use cards as weapons. Each card is a gun, but discard it and you get a movement ability. Pistol gives you a double jump, rifle gives you a grappling hook, shotgun lets you ground pound. Learning which cards to use as weapons and which to discard for mobility is the core puzzle, and it's so satisfying when you find the optimal path. The aesthetic is this neon-soaked, anime-inspired fever dream that shouldn't work, but absolutely does. Characters are over the top in the best way, and there's this whole dating sim element where you give gifts to other assassins and unlock their backstories. I wasn't expecting the story to be good, but it actually got surprisingly emotional. Neon White respects your time. Levels are bite-sized, restarts are instant, and the just one more run factor is off the charts. I tell myself, okay, one more level, and suddenly it's 3 AM and I've been chasing gold medals for 3 hours. If you love speedrunning, tight game design, or just want something that makes you feel like a genius when you nail a perfect run, Neon White is essential. Easing into brains over brawn with Disco Elysium. You're Harry Dubois, a washed-up detective in the rain-slicked ruins of Returnal, a city of faded revolutions and disco dreams. World building? A detective novel exploded into interactive philosophy. PS5's ray tracing makes the grimy alleys glisten like forgotten jewels. No combat, all conversation. Role skills like Inland Empire for wild hunches, or rhetoric for silver-tongued takedowns. The story's a web of personal demons, political intrigue, and one hell of a murder mystery that wrecked me. Graphics or stylized sketches come alive, emotional impact. It mirrored my own messy 20s, ugly crying over a failed insight check. Personal fave, hallucinating with your tie as a sidekick. Gold, unique, pure role-playing freedom. Be a genius or a disaster. Pros, writing sharper than a switchblade. Critique, pacing can meander like Harry's hangovers. If Planescape, Torment was your vibe, this is its soulful sequel. Interrogate your inner self. It's revelatory. Space combat games are rare these days, so when Chorus dropped, I was all in, and it exceeded every expectation. You play as Nara, a former cultist turned resistance fighter piloting a sentient starfighter named Forsaken. The story is surprisingly dark, dealing with guilt, redemption, and the horrors Nara committed under cult control. The voice acting between Nara and Forsaken is excellent. Their relationship evolves from distrust to genuine partnership. Combat is absolutely exhilarating. Space battles are fast and chaotic, with lasers flying everywhere while you're barrel rolling through debris fields and asteroid belts. You unlock these powers called rights, teleportation, telekinesis, and this devastating ability that lets you teleport behind enemies for instant kills. Warping behind 3 fighters in a row and watching them explode never gets old. The open-world space exploration is surprisingly detailed. Each system has temples to explore, side quests to complete, and hidden areas to discover. Flying through these massive capital ships or weaving through planetary rings while being chased by enemies is absolutely thrilling. My only critique? The game can get repetitive toward the end, and some side content feels like padding. But the core experience is so solid that these are minor issues. If you miss games like Colony Wars or Rogue Squadron, Chorus scratches that itch perfectly. It's one of the best space combat games in years, and almost nobody played it. Tunic is the game that made me feel like a kid again, scribbling notes and drawing maps like I was back in the 90s. You play as a tiny fox adventurer exploring a mysterious world filled with ancient ruins, dangerous creatures, and cryptic secrets. The game looks adorable, like if Wind Waker had a baby with Dark Souls, but don't let the cute exterior fool you. This game is tough. What makes Tunic special is the instruction manual. As you explore, you find pages of an in-game manual written in a fictional language. These pages contain hints, maps, and crucial information, but you have to decode them. I had a physical notebook next to me, drawing diagrams and piecing together clues like I was solving an ARG. Combat is challenging and requires patience. You can't just hack and slash. You need to learn enemy patterns, manage stamina, and use items strategically. Boss fights are brutal but fair, and overcoming them feels like a genuine achievement. The world design is incredible. Areas loop back on themselves in clever ways, and discovering shortcuts or secret paths is immensely satisfying. There are so many secrets hidden throughout. I finished the game and still found out I'd missed entire areas. Tunic respects your intelligence. It trusts you to figure things out without holding your hand, and that feeling of discovery is rare in modern gaming. If you loved the original Zelda or games that let you get wonderfully lost, Tunic is a masterpiece. Let's lighten things up with Sackboy, A Big Adventure, the game that reminded me why I fell in love with platformers in the first place. This is pure, unfiltered joy. Sackboy is charming, the levels are creative and bursting with color, and the whole game just oozes us personality. The art direction is phenomenal. Everything looks handcrafted, like you're playing inside a giant craft store where pipe cleaners and felt come to life. The platforming is tight and satisfying, with clever level design that constantly introduces new mechanics. One level you're riding roller coasters through a neon world, the next you're bouncing on jelly platforms while avoiding lasers. Boss fights are inventive and fun rather than frustrating. But here's the real magic: the music levels. There are these special stages set to licensed songs, Uptown Funk, Material Girl, Let's Dance, where the entire level syncs to the music. Every jump, every platform, every enemy is perfectly timed to the beat. I had a stupid grin on my face the entire time. Co-op is where Sackboy truly shines. Playing with friends or family transforms the game into controlled chaos. You can pick each other up and throw them into pits, accidentally of course, and work together to solve co-op specific puzzles. My friend and I laughed so hard, we had to pause the game multiple times. If you need a break from gritty, serious games and want something that's just pure fun, Sackboy is the perfect palate cleanser. Death's Door is what happens when you combine Zelda-style exploration with Dark Souls difficulty and wrap it in the most charming art style imaginable. You're a crow who works as a reaper, collecting souls for a bureaucratic afterlife organization. When your assigned soul is stolen, you venture into a forbidden realm to get it back. The premise is darkly comedic, death as a desk job, and the writing is sharp and witty. Combat is simple but challenging. You have a melee weapon and ranged attacks, plus you can unlock magic abilities. Fights require timing, patience, and pattern recognition. I died a lot, but checkpoints are generous, so it never felt unfair. The world is interconnected and full of secrets. Finding hidden doors and shortcuts gave me that classic Zelda feeling of, oh, that's what this is for. The dungeons are brilliantly designed with puzzles that feel clever without being obtuse. What really elevated Death's Door was the atmosphere. The art style is gorgeous, isometric environments with incredible lighting and color palettes. The music is haunting and beautiful, perfectly complementing the melancholic tone. Boss battles are phenomenal. Each one feels unique and requires different strategies. The Frog King fight had me on the edge of my seat, and when I finally took him down, I pumped my fist in triumph. Death's Door is proof that you don't need a massive budget or cutting-edge graphics to create something special. It's a tightly crafted experience that respects your time while delivering challenge and charm in equal measure. Lost in Random is weird, and I mean that in the best possible way. Set in a twisted fairy tale kingdom where dice rolls determine your fate, you play as Even searching for her sister Odd in a world ruled by a sinister queen. The aesthetic is Tim Burton meets Alice in Wonderland. It was a great day on bit one's like gothic, unsettling, but strangely beautiful. Combat is unlike anything I've played. You build a deck of cards and roll a magical die to generate energy, then play cards to summon weapons, shields, or abilities. It sounds complicated, but it flows naturally once you get the hang of it. Battles feel like frantic deck-building puzzles where you're constantly adapting to situations. Your companion, Dicey, is absolutely adorable. A living die who becomes your best friend. The banter between Even and Dicey is charming and keeps the dark story from becoming too oppressive. Each region of Random is distinct and creative. The town of Threedom is run by triplets who finish each other's sentences, while Forburg is all about strategy and planning. The world building is phenomenal, with NPCs that feel fleshed out despite the game's relatively short length. The story tackles themes of control, free will, and family in surprisingly mature ways. By the end, I was emotionally invested in Even's journey and the fate of Random. Lost in Random might not be for everyone. The combat takes getting used to, and pacing can be slow at times, but if you want something truly unique with a killer art style, give it a shot. Which of these games caught your attention? Are there any hidden gems I missed that you think deserve a spotlight? Drop a comment below. I read every single one and I love discovering new games through your recommendations. If this video helped you discover something new, smash that like button. It genuinely helps the channel grow and lets me know you want more content like this. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss when I drop a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, sometimes the best gaming experiences are hiding in plain sight. You just gotta be willing to look for them. I'll catch you in the next one. Happy gaming, everyone.